Yo, peace and love. Welcome back to another episode of the Caribbean Cannabis channel. And today, I actually came from the gym, and from being at the gym, it led me into this topic that we are speaking about right now. While there, it dawned upon me that the reason why I trust some of this equipment is not necessarily the integrity of the machine, but where the brand of that machine is from, or the brand of that gym reassured me that because of their quality, their consistency, and the work that I know they do, I can trust that this machine will be able to hold up the weight that I am requesting of it. I know that it would not fall out onto me, or fall out on me rather, and cause any injury. So, we want to talk about, are you a trustworthy cannabis brand, a trustworthy marijuana brand? And this topic is not new to us. It may seem new due to the digital marketing space, but I'm sure you have been asking your plug all the time the quality of their work, the quality of the bud that you're consuming, the edibles or concentrates, no matter the byproduct. You always want to know that you have a trustworthy plug for that information, for your vitamins, your marijuana. And yeah, we're going to be talking about that to see if you actually are a trustworthy cannabis brand. And for you, the customer, you'll be able to now identify which brands are trustworthy, where you want to put your money, and the things to look out for to know that you are interacting with a trustworthy brand. You don't want to miss this episode. Please stay tuned for more. And before we begin, this is a disclaimer. This podcast is simply for educational purposes. Please know your local laws, consume responsibly, and prioritize your health and your safety. Let's get into the episode. Alright, welcome back to the Caribbean Cannabis channel. I am your host, Prophet Nati, and as I said, we are discussing the trustworthiness of your brand and the identifiers of how we can measure a trustworthy cannabis brand. And it doesn't matter your brand if it's cannabis or not. When you look at trust, it's something that each brand has to pivot themselves on, because if your customer does not trust what you are offering, then they would never purchase with you. They would never interact with your product or your brand on the whole. And depending on how you are positioned, you would know if you can actually venture into this brand. So we're going to be looking at that today. And before we actually begin, I think it's best that we understand that this is not new. As I said, the trustworthiness always came with your plug, finding out the type of marijuana that they have, the strain that they have, and asking, is this more than a bag appeal? And now we're going to be looking at bag appeal not simply from the product of marijuana itself, but also all of the different entities and brands and segments of an industry that comes together for what we know as the cannabis industry. So even if you are a podcasting brand, you are a news brand, you are a brand that delivers herb to people, a transportation brand, how trustworthy is it that you make your brand to be? And in doing so, I would have had discussions with several industry experts, retailers, bud tenders, the customers themselves over the last couple of years as a podcast host and producer, where we bring together information from the cannabis industry for you, just to see what people are looking for, what customers are actually looking for before they decide to purchase a product or a service from your brand. And from there, I gained hope. The reason why I was able to gain hope, because I know that there are brands out there that are trustworthy, and they draw the line for us. They create the mark in which we want to embody. So some key observations were made from these conversations that I will want to share with you. So one of the first observations made, customers and consumers, they are looking for authentic, transparent, and educational cannabis brands. They're looking for that experience. And being authentic is simply more than saying It's about doing and being. And when you look at authenticity, you're looking at brands who are in this for more than money, because the history of the cannabis movement has always been more social than economic. Yes, persons have used cannabis as a source of financial freedom and liberation for their family and providing for their family, but it has always been a social movement to empower persons to have that freedom to pursue financial means responsibly and legally with cannabis. So customers are looking for that history. Like, what is the reason? Why are you growing cannabis, or why are you interacting with cannabis? Why are you sharing information? Is it just because it's the new big boom? It's a green rush, or is it more dear to you? Someone in your family would have suffered, or you yourself has been a consumer and you actually want to remove the stigma. Where's your story to make customers believe that you are being authentic with it? So these are some questions you're going to ask yourself, and we'll show you how you can also be authentic. The transparency side of things more comes in with product more than a service, I would say. Although you do need to be transparent as to your experience when we get into the topic of services. But from a product standpoint, case in point would be a dispensary. Oftentimes when you purchase from a dispensary, at least many of the dispensaries I have been to, there is no real information given to me, the customer, as to how this bud was produced. How was it grown? What went into it? What's the chemical composition of it? What is the parentage of the strain that you just grew and you are selling to me? I am looking for a bit more detail when I have these experiences, and many persons would have made reference to that. They want to know more about the strain, not just the basic THC and CBD ratio that is given, but there's have to be a bit more transparency and education going into your customer to know how, where, and when was your herb that you are selling me produced. And that's from the product side. And that will be for both cannabis and its byproducts. From the services standpoint, how long have you been offering these services? Is the information that you are providing reliable or accurate? Can you source it? And that's something I pride myself in, even with my podcast, because I try to always give reliable and accurate information to my listeners, to you, my viewers. And if I cannot back it up, I do have individuals brought onto the podcast to speak on it and to share their experiences to see that it is a real thing and it is being done from experienced experts. So that's the first observation. The second observation is that even in 2024, going into 2025, a lot of challenges are coming from that historical stigma attached to cannabis. And what is being done is not enough as it relates to removing the stigma. And I believe from experience, many brands or entities, businesses that are involved in the cannabis industry lean into the stigma. And I guess it's a selling point, but to what end is that selling point? We always have to ask ourselves, what is the end goal behind this? Has this purchase or this production helped to bring the cannabis movement forward, or are we drawing the industry backwards into the age-old rhetoric that has always been shared and known? So we have to be a bit more strategic as to how we position our brands as it relates to the historical stigma and the misconceptions, because there are way more new users than there are experienced users in the cannabis industry right now, as it booms and it's becoming illegal and persons are coming out of their cannabis closet. The third observation made is trust is built through consistent, professional, and again, educational interactions. No one can trust your brand if you are providing inconsistent work. And I mean to say, so I face the brunt of that as well when my podcast is dormant without giving reason, like which just happened. But we have to hold ourselves accountable to the quality of our work and how we are showing up for our viewers, for our customers and consumers, our community that each of us as brands or businesses have. It's a level of quality and trust that I know, regardless if I come today, I come next week, or I come a year later, what you are doing is consistent, regardless if there's drops. So keep the same quality of work that you have promised to give, regardless if you have intervals between your operations, right? In terms of professionalism, when I interact with your brand, are you giving me childish or are you giving me sophisticated? Are you giving me bold and brave, or are you giving me uncanny, unknowledgeable? What are you giving me? So we need to know that you are being professional in your dealings, you are communicating clearly, you are sharing information, and you are holding your establishment to a higher standard than the rest. And it shows based on how your customer service is, based on your feedback that is given to your customers. How are you providing that to them? Are you always there as you said you would be? Are you being consistent and transparent? All of these go into a certain level of professionalism, I believe, as the industry moves forward. We are all looking forward to the packaging of your material. How is the packaging? No one is saying that you have to go out and spend thousands on a marketing portfolio, but what you can do, is it again clean? Is it consistent? Is it clear? Ensure that these things are being done, and just highlighting the educational aspect of the interactions from your bartenders to your customer service reps, your social media marketing team. Are they aware of everything that is happening in your business? Are you aware of everything that is happening in your business? So you have to be able to know all, and not just be aware, but to know and to be wise about it, so that when people come with questions, you are able to give answers. If you always never have answers, then that tells me no one knows what's happening in your business. And again, we cannot trust it. That's just simple. We can't trust it. I'm sure you have gone into many shoe stores, many clothing stores, or otherwise. And when you all begin asking questions, okay, what is this product? How much is it? Where is it from? Or whatever questions you do have for them, and they cannot answer, it deters you. It's like, it seems kind of shady if no one knows what's going on. And you don't want to be shady, anything but shady. And the final observation is again to remember every interaction is an opportunity to reshape the perceptions of experienced users as well as inexperienced, the newcomers to the cannabis industry. And that goes for both products and services. To cement what I'm referring to a bit more, I want to give two examples showing the different perspectives you can take to actually gain the trust of your viewers, of your customers, etc. So it's going to be two dispensaries. One dispensary is called Rise. It's located in Canada. The second dispensary is called Jacana, located in Jamaica. When you go onto Rise's website and you view their material, their about section, you are going to see bold, loud, proud, clear messaging about their stance with cannabis, what they are offering to you, and their zero tolerance, the hypocrisy as it relates to being a part of the cannabis movement. They believe that if you are supporting, you are a consumer, you are interacting with cannabis, you have to be 100% in it. So once I saw that messaging, I was like, okay, these people are not here to play. They are authentic to what they are doing. The products that they have listed, the services that they have listed, it's detailed to a T. So again, that tells me it's transparent. Based on the layout as well as the message and the words that are being used on their page, I can tell that this is a professionally handled dispensary. They have a customer segment that I can contact to get more information, I love it. But again, this is more of the bold, brave, more social, recreational use side of cannabis sales in a dispensary. Looking to Jacana now. Now, Jacana, I love Jacana aesthetic from day one. Their messaging is all about medicinal health and wellness. Even the words that they use to separate, they don't say like sativa or indica really, even though they classify the strain as such. But under those segments, it's titled joy or peace or passion. It gives you a more calming mindset as you proceed to partake in their products. They have a variety of different products and they show you how their herb is actually produced and they offer a tour. So that gives me transparent as well. And just the wording and the messaging, professional, and they educate persons of how cannabis can be used in the different arenas. Those are just some of my observations made and examples to show you what you can look to do in your own brand, measure how you are being trustworthy by just these observations. So, in the segment to come, what I'm going to be talking about is actually building that trust through strategic moves. Okay, thanks for staying with the Caribbean Cannabis channel. Now, as I said, I'm going to give you some strategy that you can use to build trust within your brand. And it doesn't matter if you're dealing with the product or you offer a service. Actually, more than 50%, more than 50% of businesses involved in the cannabis industry are non-plant touching. So, let that be a little reassurance to you. If you are a non-plant touching brand, this also applies to you. But just know the scrutiny for the plant touching is going to be a bit more because of your regulations, because people are actually consuming this into their body. So we know about cannabis. It's an agricultural product, and we know how the agricultural industry can be. And again, this is why building trust is so important. Now let's get into the strategy building. Now, again, trust isn't built through wishing, it's built through consistency and always showing up for your customers, for your consumers, and the viewers of your brand. It has to have a methodology. And one of the things I want to advise you to employ into your strategy is one, radical transparency. Now, radical transparency, this involves being as detailed as you can with everything that you offer. Where it is from, what does it do, how was it sourced. Provide as much information using simple language. You want to use be clear of jargon because, as I made mention earlier in the episode, many of the users now are new and so much has changed just in a couple of months of this year alone. The industry has progressed rapidly that even sometimes I cannot keep up, so much less those who are now getting into it. Right? Be clear of your of jargon and use simple language. If you are offering the plant itself and its byproducts such as concentrates or edibles, beverages, ensure that you could actually have a lab test to show your customers that you're not dealing up with anything shady. This is 100% legitimate. We are being totally sustainable with our practices. And again, radical transparency. Just be clear from the get-go. Don't let people have to come to ask you the questions. Let them have the answers to their questions already answered by the time they view your product and your service. Strategy two, and this is going to be mainly for my brands in the Caribbean. Now, there's only few places I've been to actually say that the staff was professional and they were fully knowledgeable about everything. And that's kind of sad because In my years of one working in customer experience from a professional standpoint and even being a customer myself, there are certain things you look for to know that your staff is well prepared for any type of customer that comes into the store. And if you have ever had me as a customer, trust and believe, I have questions ready waiting for you. So I need to ensure that the staff is comprehensively trained. They could give me more information besides THC and CBD. I want more. I want an experience when I walk into a dispensary. Or if I listen to your podcast, you're taking me for a ride and informing me of things I've never heard about or seen. Shout out to the Caribbean Cannabis channel. Shameless plug. I mean, I think that's what I'm doing for you right now. So, yeah, have that comprehensive training that you could provide information and an experience to your viewers, your listeners, or purchasers of your product. You wanna be empathetic. You wanna ensure that your staff is trained to be empathetic. And sometimes empathy is learned. It's not something that everyone is born with because of experiences, but through understanding and listening and learning about your different customer segments, which I'll be sharing with you in our next episode. Once you know who you are dealing with and what they are coming to you with and for, you can approach from a more empathetic standpoint. And again, remember, majority of the cannabis users now or those who interact with it are new. So you're going to have to hold their hands a lot of the time and walk them through the process. And that's very important to have. And ensure again that you have a welcoming environment. Your staff has a welcoming demeanor. I always say, whatever your worry is at home, leave it at the door when you come to work. And I'm not saying we don't care about the mental health of workers or whatnot, but again, we don't want to dump the pain that we are feeling onto our customers, especially when I'm coming to feel good, is to get some type of relief. And if I am not getting relief and I'm getting pain and attitude and sass and whatnot, I'm not going to interact with your brand. I do not trust your brand because if you cared about your brand and your business, you wouldn't hire people like that, or you would train your staff to know how to deal with customers. So either way, yeah, ensure that you have a welcoming and an educational environment. Strategy number 3, you see compliance. Compliance is actually a tricky battle in the cannabis industry because even if you are not plant touching, you're on social media and digital marketing, the hoops and the rings and the hurdles that you actually have to go through to post information, it's unbelievable. Yeah, half of the time you can't even use the word cannabis or marijuana as freely as I am using it right now. Hence, I got into podcasting because of that. You have to use so many different words, gardening and broccoli and whatnot, because you information can be flagged. And knowing that you are complying with the rules is an act of trust with the mediums that you are placing your information on your work on. And that way customers can know, especially if they are purchasing from you, they are not going to get into any legal trouble. If it is a byproduct of the cannabis plant itself you're selling as well, I know that what I am ingesting from you has gone through approvals of independent third parties and not just yourself. So I know again, if anything happens to me, they are persons to be held accountable. So compliance is very important and ensure that you have clear age restrictions and verifications, as well as if you are dealing with medical patients, you also have to ensure that your compliance is up to date to safeguard yourself and to safeguard your customer. And the last strategy, which is a must, we are in the digital age. You have to, my people, use technology. there's no getting away from it. I'm a little old school myself, and it can be tricky navigating all these algorithms and the changes and having to be trendy. It's work, but you need to have a digital platform. Whether you're on social media, you have a website, or some other method of communicating and speaking to your audience, your customers outside of your place of business, I think it is needed. Blog pages are still a thing. Blogs are actually forever will be a thing from what I have seen last. You want to ensure again that apart from your website and your social media, you have private and secure purchasing platforms for persons to interact with, whether it's cash you're dealing with or credit. Safeguard yourself is safeguarding yourself is always the best option. And And I think the last aspect to the digital technological aspect to it, having a means for customers to reach you and to give feedback. Why are we not providing contact information? Why am I just listening to you and I cannot reach out to you? Leave an email. If you have a business phone number, you can provide that. But email is a solid method to go with. If it's just one point of contact you're providing, I would advise going with email. And to just highlight the digital aspect, something that I saw recently is a dispensary using QR codes on each product that takes you to the detailed information. So if you cannot provide labels because labeling is expensive, have QR codes on your products or your services so people can scan and take them straight to a website. Now this works more for dispensaries or shops affiliated with cannabis plant products, but again, try to emphasize if you offer services, ensure that you are up in your digital game. And that's some strategies for you. Four strategies back to back. Using technology to enable trust. Professionally training your staff to gain my trust as a customer. Following the rules. We know it's red tape, but compliance is a major builder because I know that your work is quality and has been approved by many individuals before it reaches to me. And most importantly, be completely radical in the transparency that you're offering. Four strategies, add them to your business. Let me know how it goes for you, and I'm sure you would see improvement. Now, just stick with us. We're going to wrap up this show by giving you the future of the cannabis industry where trust is involved. Stay tuned. All right, thanks for sticking with the Caribbean Cannabis channel. I mean, you can be so many other places, but you decide to be here with me. So, to wrap up the show, we are going to give you like some emerging trends that I've been seeing and I find pretty cool that we can do now within the cannabis industry. So the trend I'm seeing is an integration of medical consulting services. And this will be very crucial or a game changer for dispensaries. Imagine a new person is walking into your dispensary for the first time, whether medical or recreational. They don't or may not be completely familiar with the effects cannabis can have on them. And yes, there are a lot of persons, regardless of the research and the information that is out there, still may not be fully aware of how cannabis can affect you. And it's important to know these things because depending on your predisposition, different strains and the chemical components of it can affect you. And this goes for the byproducts as well. Having a live chat available that they can speak with medical professionals or being able to video call or call your medical doctor or on site attached to your dispensary can be pretty reassuring, and that helps to build trust that you care about your customers, you care about those who are consuming, and you are giving them the ability not just to go off of hearsay of what their friends have experienced, but they have that shoulder to lean on for reassurance as it regards to what cannabis can do to them before they consume. And next aspect of it to know that you are building trust and a trend to actually hop onto. It's being socially responsible. Having community educational programs available to those that interact with your brand or that you are able to point them in that direction. Very important. We cannot just be in this for our own benefit. We still have a duty to the cannabis industry, the cannabis community here and far to continuously educate the different changes that are happening. Because as I said, the changes are coming rapidly, people. Things are evolving. There's so many different machinery now and gadgets and tools and strains out. Being able to take your community along for that journey and educating them is vital. So hop onto that trend. Partnering with wellness gurus, wellness coaches, wellness communities as well. Cannabis and wellness go hand in hand. And it's a great opportunity, especially in these times where work from home is a thing, retreats are a thing where people are traveling across the globe for healing journeys and wellness journeys. And this is an opportunity for you to incorporate your brand into organizations such as that. So that is important. And the last trend is I'm just throwing this in here. It's not really a trend, but you should pick up on it. Transparency. Be open. Be honest. Tell your viewers and your listeners, your purchasers, what's happening with your brand. Share a little bit about yourself, and you'll see how far that goes. So there you have it. I'm hoping that you now, as a brand, can measure how trustworthy you have been, or if you are a customer, you can identify brands that are trustworthy or not. Be sure to stick with the Caribbean Cannabis channel in future episodes, or in the next episode rather. We're going to be discussing customer experience and giving you a masterclass as to how you can elevate your customers' experience. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stick around on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Music, and all the other apps that are available in our show links below. Has been a pleasure, always will be a pleasure. See you next time.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Caribbean Cannabis channel. Be sure to like and subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook so you don't miss out on any of the exciting news happening across the region. Until next time, remember to meditate and educate.